this show on the road. How's everybody doing this morning on this fantastic Thursday? Let's call it Thursday, because it is. All right. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, we got PPI and initial jobless claims coming up in 2 minutes. Basically, you can see how the markets are structured. Yesterday we had pretty decent numbers, but really and truly behind it all, even though we got a good core number and inflation did come off on the core, you add food and all that stuff, inflation is still pretty much stuck. The markets loved the initial core print as we got a big spike, but then later on in the day, when the minutes came out, as Michelle so rightly pointed out in the chat, the word recession came back into play. And as you can see, the market sold off. So coming into today's news, what do we got? We got Bitcoin trading at daily resistance. On the weekly, it is at the very top of sold off. Or not sold off, sorry, overbought, I should say. On the daily and on the weekly, you are overbought. Now, understandably, this thing can stay overbought for much longer than you can stay solvent. I'm sure you have heard that saying before. We're getting the news now. This is the level we're watching. Essentially, if Bitcoin is unable to close hourlies above this, we're going to be looking for a short, and we're going to be targeting this down here at 30K, roughly right in there. I have already taken a short position. My entry is 30233. Yeah, music's difficult because, I mean, you literally got people from all over the world in the chat. All the future legends that come here, they're from all over the world. Everybody has different music preferences. Let's check the news, see what we got, because it did just come out. So on the initial jobless claims, we had 228K last month. Previous month, 228K. 232K was forecasted. The actual number was 239. A higher than expected reading should be taken as negative or bearish for the dollar, which you would assume that would mean bullish for Bitcoin, right? Well, there's the news, and then there's the market's reaction to the news. So there's a lot of news for the market to digest this week. PPI, let's get a look at it. Previous was 0.1%, forecast 0.1% to the positive. So that's 0.2 in the positive that they were expecting. They got a negative 0.5. So that is a higher than expected number, which that is much lower, should be taken as positive. So there you go. Both of those scenarios should suggest a weaker dollar. And Bitcoin seems to be taking it as, well, it's too early to tell, really. You did get an initial spike on the big three. The big three being the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. Industrial input, or you know what I mean? The industrial. The Dow. Just call it the Dow. Index is the word I was so desperately searching for. Good mornings. Good morning. How is everybody doing this fantastic morning? Michelle like the music. More soul. Yeah, I like that one too. I just found it this morning. Sloth Bag was about to drop a freestyle. Ricker, ricker, ricker. I don't mind a little freestyle every now and then. However, I can't do it. Let's see here. I did not label this. Why did I not label that? It is weekly resistance. Old weekly resistance. Old weekly res, price traded straight up to it, tagged it, bounced off of it. Does it hold? We shall see. We are a full hour out from the market's open. So whatever happens from now until 9:30 could essentially be faded. I'm just kind of giving this market a little bit of time. I gave it plenty of room. I'm currently sitting in two long positions on Bitcoin. This is on the USDC side of the platform. That's what I love about Bitget. You got three different futures platforms, so you can take both sides of the trade initially. But I mean, overall, it's gonna, equal out. But I like to grow all three or try to grow all three. That way, when I transfer funds from Bitget to cold storage, I have a consistent growing equity curve. Which, we have that. The original trade was the entry at 16,540 bucks. That's the yearly open trade. And then I have on the USDT, on the Tether side, I have a position currently open long at the price of 27797. So that one is, that's kind of a high entry. That's like over in here. So, yeah. Now, the thing about looking for shorts here, obviously, I don't need to tell you, or some of you, but some of you I do need to tell. This thing can catch a bid and squeeze shorts. Just because it's overbought does not mean that you're going to see it retrace or that it's a short. If we look at the way the volume profiles are for the last 3 days, you can see that other than this big day here, both of them are currently more towards the low edge of the daily range, which would suggest that there is more buying than selling going on. However, today's move is just getting started. Yesterday, even though we had a lot of volatility in the CPI print, you still traded as an inside day. You can see you did not take out the previous day's high or low. And now, today, you are still trading as an inside day. So, Bitcoin for the last 3 days is forming a wedge at the top. Some people refer to this pattern as a bull flag. Some people refer to that as a wedge. There's many names, many names. But we can watch price and see what price does here. Excuse me. Good morning, dude. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, all of my future legends. How is everybody doing out there this morning? How about short ETH? Let's go look at ETH. Yeah, I don't know about that, dude. Ethereum appears to be breaking out hard. Yes, that's a big no. Not right now. You need to see at least some signs of selling pressure. There's weekly resistance. Maybe after you get above this swing high, you could potentially look for shorts, $2,031. But I wouldn't look for them in front of this. You see the difference in the price action. Bitcoin on the hourly is wedging up. Since the overall trend is bullish, you typically want to try to position yourself at support and anticipation of the breakout. But there comes a time when you get overbought that you just don't want to take longs at the top, right? I try to position you guys at the bottom and then ride it to the top. Then I try to get you guys out at the top. It's not easy. And then for the day trades, it doesn't really matter. Alls we're looking for in a day trade is a spot to enter the market inside of this or daily range and a place to get out with some profits. So overall macro bias does not matter at all. But there are more swing traders than day traders. $2,000 is a big figure number. Oops. You can see that, $2,000. Basically, you haven't been above $2,000 on Ethereum since the bear market of 2022. Let's see, when did we lose $2,000 on a closing basis? May of 2022. So you haven't been able to close a weekly above 2K since May 2022. I don't think I would short it, broski. I don't even. Yeah, it's got a lot of momentum right now, which could suggest that people are rotating assets from Bitcoin to Ethereum. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's impossible to know for sure what's going on, guys. All we have is price charts and how price reacts to objective levels. That's all we got. That's our edge. And using fantastic risk mitigation, we are able to generate consistent returns. But yeah, once you get over that, if you were looking for a liquidation break, maybe You could take it, but so yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, I don't know if it can even get up there today. It's $31 move. You can see here that's a pretty good size candle you would need to get up there. So far, I mean, the market's reaction seems to be decent. Tech has been the leader of the market, of the bull market this year. Well, of the rally, let's say that, since people aren't really wanting to call this a bull market yet. I mean, Bitcoin is obviously in a bull market, but the rest of the assets, not so much. I mean, you can see the Dow Jones bottom right on my screen. You're barely trading above the yearly opening range. But NASDAQ US 100 has more tech in it than anything, so it, like the S&P 500, actually got a nice bounce because of tech, and tech bounced extremely hard from the beginning of the year, first quarter, and as we know, Bitcoin's first quarter was a record quarter. Well, I don't know if it's a record. Let me backtrack that statement. Let's see here. 122% on that January open. Yeah, so it's not a record, but I mean, 76%, that's good, right? That's a nice Q1 bounce. Q2 could be currently making a high. So we could be seeing a pullback coming for Q2. A lot of people are predicting recession around Q4. So that would be, the winter time. We're not even in the summertime yet. This is just April. So we got time, right? We got plenty of time. As far as taking longs up here, fresh open longs, there's really nowhere for me to give you where you would risk, right? I can't really, in good faith, say take a long here because you are extremely overbought. The long should be taken. I'm not a breakout trader. Some people are, you know what I mean? If you are a breakout trader, then what you're waiting on is you're waiting on an hourly close above resistance, then a retest of that level, then you would look for longs there. You would be targeting today's high. That would be your primary target. Secondary target, yesterday's high. So on and so forth. Good vibes, good vibes. Yeah, what WTF ETH? Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. Let's go look at ETH versus Bitcoin this morning. Here you go. There's probably some kind of news on Ethereum or something is happening with the Ethereum blockchain or something, right? You can find that info more than likely on Twitter. I'm sure some macro guy on on blockchain knows why ETH is getting a pop today. But essentially you're trading right into a supply zone. But this is ETH BTC. It is a tradable asset, but not on my exchange. Well, I don't trade it. I don't know if I can or not. I just stay on the futures. I don't mess around with the spot markets or the other markets on Bitget. US 30 Dow is trading nicely. So is this. So the markets seem to be taking this bearish dollar news and taking it the right way. Here is your dollar. So your dollar has shown you a consistent breakdown. So even though Bitcoin sold off yesterday, so did the dollar. So that would lead us to believe that Bitcoin's going to probably go higher today. Notice how the point of control just changed from down here to up here, though. So that could be profit taking and new breakout traders buying as the bar shows more blue than yellow. So that does indicate more bids than asks. So it does look like more people are buying the highs here than selling. But there is always someone on the opposite side of that trade. He's trying to maintain that $2,000 level and making higher highs on the 5-minute. That's not bearish when you're doing that, right? That's not bearish. Bearish is exactly the opposite of that. This is bearish. Yesterday, you would have been looking for a short on that spike up. Like, that would have been the only signal that I can see. And, it's an hour chart, so you got to wait a full hour. Sometimes I watch these hourlies also be bullish, like right up into the last 2 minutes, and then boom. You know what I mean? So it's hard to anticipate what's going on. This definitely looks good for bullish continuation on Bitcoin. It does. What we're seeing play out on the dollar. This is the yearly open on the dollar, by the way. You are trading under monthly support and weekly support. See, there's your weekly support. I don't have monthly support outlined, but it's just above weekly support. So, I mean, would just default to the weekly support because it's the lower level. But you are trading under that. So this could very well be the target. This is 2023's low. And it should not be yellow. So whoever did that, you know better. Of course I did it. But we can blame it on somebody. Who do we want to blame it on? Good morning, TTs, trade talkers, few ledges, everybody. Good mornings. Heath, am short on Bitcoin from 30,300 as am expecting a continuation down on SPX today. What are your thoughts? Well, right there is your short. And the dollar we know is trending lower on a weekly, monthly basis, daily. And the S&P 500 had a sell-off yesterday. So that just infers that yesterday's sell-off could have been a bad reaction to core CPI and could be, seeing how it is a higher low, a buying opportunity. Does that mean your short will not work? No, it doesn't. Because what's happening with the S&P 500 does not mean the same thing will happen with Bitcoin, as they are not directly correlated with one another. Occasionally they trade with a heavy correlation, but they are not correlated. But typically they do the same thing. So my thoughts currently would be, since we have had bearish dollar news today, I would probably say the short's going to get stopped out. In fact, since we have made a bullish engulfing candle here, I'm going to close down my short position. All right? Because this isn't indicating weakness. Now, could it make a run for the day's high and then reverse? Yes, it could. It absolutely could. In the next 3 minutes, could you turn into a bearish engulf? Yes. Yes, you could. You absolutely could. But is that the likely scenario? All right, let's see here. We just got disconnected, but we're back. So give it a second. All right. Hopefully everybody's still there. Hopefully didn't lose anybody. The S&P 500 is trading into resistance. Let me check with the Discord to make sure we're still live. As my chat was disconnected. All right, perfect. Sorry about that. Don't know what that was all about. The S&P 500, you can see yesterday, that is a nasty bearish engulfing daily candle. So you are trading into resistance. So ultimately, this could still be a short setup. Remember, we're 30 minutes away from the New York Open. So any spike from now until then could be faded. If you start trading above resistance, then I would say that this was a buying opportunity, because you did not, even though this is a bearish engulfing candle, it's not a good signal because you're on an uptrend. What does that mean? Trade talk. What do you mean by that? Because all the other YouTubers say that bearish engulfings are a short. Well, here is a bearish engulfing that had you shorted. You got smoked. If you're in an uptrend, your daily bearish engulfings are less important. Now, when are they important? In a downtrend. All right? When you're in a downtrend, if you get a pop in price to a resistance level, then print a bearish engulf, then you would be looking to sell into that resistance. So if this was a downtrend, right? If we were trading under the yearly open, you were in an obvious downtrend and this occurred, this would be a short all day long. But since you're in an uptrend, not really. And you're consolidating at resistance. So, yes, it could work out as a short, but it is not a definitive sell signal, as here is support. You did not close below support. In fact, after printing the bearish engulfing candle, this daily candle opened, traded down to support, and now you're getting that bounce. And I can show you that intraday. Here it is. All right, from 1600 to 1800, that's your open. You opened, traded down to support, and you got in a bounce. But it is resistance. So as long as your risk is mitigated and you know what you stand to lose, and you can afford to lose that amount of money, I have no trouble or problem with the position. All right? Will it work? There's no way for me to know that answer. But as long as your risk is mitigated, as long as we only want to risk 1 to 2% max on any given trade, on every trade. We want to be consistent in our approach. But the markets are bullish, regardless of what you hear on the news. Everybody that's still looking for a recession and all the bears out there like Eurodollar University, those people, they are essentially looking for a 2008 style collapse, right? Because fear sells. They have essentially missed the bullish entry. So they are doubled down on '08 style bear market headed our way. And that's not been completely ruled out, obviously. A black swan event could occur, of course. But the market is not pricing that in. And the market, whether you think it's right or wrong, is irrelevant. The price is the price. And the trend is the trend, regardless if you think it's right or wrong or not. no matter what your bias is, this is what it is. And I find that I have better results when I approach the market with zero bias and just look at what's happened in the last 3 days. Try to stick with order flow on the near term. And on the S&P 500, you're consolidating under resistance. Look what happened to Bitcoin when it consolidated under resistance. Here was resistance. It consolidated under it. It broke out. You're doing something very similar on the S&P right now. So until you start making lower lows and lower highs, I don't know if I would be wanting to short the market yet. Now, you won't nail it, but nailing tops and bottoms is very, very, very difficult. In fact, it rarely happens. We know it can happen because we've seen me do it a lot, but it rarely happens. Those trades usually end up getting shut down because the overall trend usually continues until something massive happens, right? Something on the macro. You need like a real fundamental change. So now that we've closed above resistance here on this hourly time frame, we will only be looking to approach shorts on the rest of the day if we get what we term as a trap, where you have like a big bearish engulfing. Then we would be looking to short any bounce back up into resistance. But as of right now, it doesn't look like it's trying to set up a short. But you are at resistance. This white line is daily resistance on Bitcoin. Just to show you here, right there. So let's see what kind of reaction we get if we get to the high of day. And on the S&P 500, you've just been making high of day after new high of day after new high of day. So you've already made high of day. Bitcoin currently, this wick is your high of day. But Bitcoin has been trending up as well because this is the open here. So on the open of Bitcoin, up, consolidation, up, consolidation, up. Although the NASDAQ doesn't look as promising, see how you did make that bearish engulfing and you did take out support. However, once again, you are trending up. And this is considered a buying opportunity in a bullish market. You are welcome. Ellie, thank you, Lashy, for saying the mic is back. Yeah, I just lost connection there for a brief second. John says, thank you to everyone who is shorting Bitcoin. You're helping towards another squeeze up. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, once you get the shorts backs against the wall, man, these squeezes can last for days. Yeah, Poita, you've been here long enough to know. If you lose it, it's not you, it's me. It's me. We're working on it. Verizon is just taking their sweet time, but we are working on it. Once we get that good solid connection, we'll be streaming multiple platforms across multiple everythings. We'll have streams running on everybody's favorite platform. That way they don't have to come specifically to YouTube. We'll be everywhere. I just do not have the bandwidth for that yet. All right. Good morning, Heath, says Danny. What is your opinion about using the ATR for stop loss? Example, hourly support / resistance plus minus 1 ATR. Isn't that more objective than using a random swing low or swing high? It is. 100%. I have no trouble with you using 1 ATR as a stop loss at all. Just understand that by using 1 ATR as a stop, you're skewing your risk to reward in some cases, depending on where you're taking that entry, right? And depending on what your expectations are. Are you looking for a breakout or a breakdown? Or are you looking to trade inside the range the market has already set? Right? Hopefully, what I just said there makes sense to you. Hopefully, you've been with me long enough to understand what I'm talking about. If not, I can break it down a little bit better for you. But yeah, I have no trouble using 1 ATR as a stop loss. Typically, you can just set up the Bollinger Band to do that for you. As that's what the Bollinger Band literally is, really. It's just using current volatility on a daily closing basis, on a look back period of your preference. When you get to the midpoint or the middle of the Bollinger Band, you take your entry, use the top band as your stop or the bottom band as your stop. Look for the top band or bottom band to be your profit taking area. As in a trending market, that would likely mean that you are looking for breakouts or breakdowns. Whereas in a range bound marketplace, you are looking to trade in between support and resistances. But yeah, I have no trouble with that at all. Listen, looking for a 1-to-1 risk to reward, I have no problem with. I have no problem with you looking for if you can risk 2 for 1. As you know, usually when you do an option selling premium strategy, your risk to reward is skewed. Like you're literally risking $900 to make $100 in some cases. You see what I mean? But there's a 90% hit rate of you making money. You can run strategies like that all the time. So in some cases, like just using price action alone to analyze what you think market direction or the directional bias is going to be, yeah, you could absolutely look for a skewed risk to reward. Right? Something like that. Right? This is your risk and this is your reward. You're only looking to gain entry here and you're risking all of this drawdown because at some point you think it's going to bounce and go up. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need a higher hit rate. You need a higher win rate. That's it. If you got better than 50% win rate, you can still be profitable. I have a high hit rate, so I like to use the smaller risks because by getting in with such a tight stop loss, it allows me to maximize the leverage, right? So I don't need as big of a move in order to generate a positive equity growth on the P&L. And then the way that I manage that risk by taking 70% of the profits off, moving my stop to break even, and then if I catch a trend, then I just set in the trend until it ends or until I close the position. Like that position on Bitcoin I currently hold at $16,000. There's no point in closing that. Not until we see clear and obvious signs of a top, which we're probably getting pretty close. All right, so you are pulling into what would be considered a demand level right now. You are 15 minutes away from the market open. All right, let's see. Did that work? Can I get someone in the chat to let me know if we're back? My internet switched to the wrong modem. I have multiple modems. So when I got disconnected, it took me to my main modem, And apologies for that. Everything should be fine now from here on out. Perfect. Perfect. We did lose a few people, but they'll realize the stream is still on and they'll come back hopefully. If not, it's all good. All is good in the neighborhood. So yeah, the US 100, it's not what you would want to see, but it does look like this could ultimately be a buying opportunity. We will see how today closes out. If today closes out above monthly resistance, then we will probably be looking to buy any retest of support like tomorrow or the next day. However, if we lose this area, and the same goes for Bitcoin, then we'll probably be looking for shorts, small intraday near-term shorts, as you got a pretty wide range here before I would look to close down any longs. I mean, let's be honest. $30,000 is that's a pretty big bounce. Beautiful. The stream should be running normal now. No longer dropping any frames. I got it back on the right modem. I didn't know I could switch between modems like that. That's cool. Huh. Nice. All right. It's a big area of resistance for the S&P 500, but we'll see here if Bitcoin is able to maintain the buyers at this price point during the market open. That's going to be the big thing, and that's going to happen in 6 minutes. So let's get the NASDAQ. Better yet, since I'm not there, I just don't see anything to tell you to do on Ethereum right now. If you're long on Ethereum and you got long on a retest of this support or down here, just hang on to it, right? There's nothing to do. You're winning. So when you're winning, you don't have to do anything. The people that have to adjust are the people that are losing money. The people that are making money, they never have to do anything. They just let the positions stay open. The rebalancers, they're the ones that have to make moves here. Not you. If you're short Ethereum, I don't know what to tell you. I can't I can't tell you if it's gonna continue to work out or not. But I would like to get SPY up there as the market's getting ready to open up. And you can see SPY is slightly gapping up from yesterday's close, which we can see that down here on the futures. Even though this is a CFD, it's tracking the E-minis, the futures. All right. this should be a direct 1-to-1 correlation to the E-mini futures. So that's where you're getting the gap from. So a pullback to gap fill, we would want to see then that be bullish. So yesterday, that's what we were kind of looking for when we opened up here. We were kind of looking for a pullback down into there and then a rally. We did not get that. In fact, we got a bearish engulfing. So today, I wouldn't want to see the SPY trade any lower than 408.05. Like on the open, if it does get bearish, that's about as low as I would want to see it go. And then I would want to see it bounce from that area. A gap and go, if you will. Anybody that got short late last night or late into yesterday's session, your breakdown traders that they got short here, just the very nature of today's open, they will be losing money. So that will cause some buying pressure. So you could see a push higher ultimately on the open as well. On the weekly, you're still bullish, and today's Thursday. So all in all, you're under resistance, but you're gapping to weekly resistance. You see that? Which is good. Which is good. Let's go ahead and outline that resistance. We'll use last week's close and the week prior. So on the open, you're going to have two big levels here. Bitcoin bouncing currently off of that hourly demand. There you go. You see that test of that level on the open? Here comes the draw. Be lovely if it could just set right there and make that the low of day and go. That's what we call a gap and go. Above all of this, these are where your sellers are setting. These two levels. Your shorts will be setting here. Nice open on the NASDAQ. You're getting a higher push. Nice. Nice. So if you did want to take a long on Bitcoin, you could just literally put your stop like under here and you would be like aiming at the high of day. It is an arbitrary area, but I mean, it doesn't have any significance. other than being under daily resistance. But you would just be looking to ride the momentum or the volatility up. Based on a reaction that looks pretty good on the NASDAQ. And since we have the SPY up, we can get rid of the futures. See what the dollar's doing. Dollar's making fresh daily lows. So as long as this continues, I like that. Go back to the hourly so you can see that demand test. There's the wick down to your demand level. So like that's your entry, that's your stop. Take profit. Very tight, narrow range. As long as you know what you're risking and you can afford to risk it, and it's not a lot. Remember, base hits over time. It's consistent gains that makes you a profitable trader, not one and done. Not one and done. I would love to see this push down to these lows and like just rip to the downside. That would be phenomenal. And USD JPY looking good, down 0.67%. I'm short this asset. That's the only reason why I wanted to see that. What is the highest probable way for you for establishing daily bias for intraday scalps? Using the daily open is a good way to establish an intraday bias. It is. It isn't always going to be correct, but it is a fantastic way. As there's the daily open down there. So you're just looking for New York to continue that, which is already in place, right? That's a phenomenal way to do it. That's typically, what I look to do. And I love it when this indicator here is at the bottom, right? As that gives me a little bit more confidence. When I see it move up like this, it gives me less confidence. As because now the most volume on the day has shifted up to here. That usually indicates a lot of profit taking. And profit taking will cause a push lower, as well as new short entries, as it brings in selling pressure. We know the London session often caused the high or low of day. And in this case, the London session didn't do anything. Here's your whole London session. Really didn't do anything. Here comes that selling pressure. Remember, those are weekly levels. That's where the sellers are. We know it for a fact. But we're okay with a push lower on the open. Remember, we want to see the open make a low. Typically, we don't want to see the open do this. Lot of data in the last 2 days for the market to chew through, so expect volatility today. Expect that volatility. So once again, you get another push down to demand. So that's 2 chances to enter at demand. You are buying the high or at the highs, but you have 2 targets here and here as you're trading as an inside day. Overall trend is bullish. Here is your weekly candle. It's bullish. There's your daily candle. You're currently trading above daily resistance. So, although that could change, currently the structure is bullish. Nice spike into monthly resistance on the NASDAQ. Let's see where that puts you on a daily. Beautiful. Traded all the way up to yesterday's open. That could be an area of resistance. As any short traders that thinks you're going to see downside continuation based off this bearish engulfing, that is a high probable area to take a short entry. And also anybody that bought the low sweep or the liquidation sweep down here yesterday or this morning or last night, they would be taking profits there. Like to see that. Love to see that. But would love to see it rip now, as you have set in this low wick down here. Scalpers will be aiming at pre-market highs which is here. 409.96. And new short entries will be aiming for this, as that is gap fill. And pre-market lows. 2 weekly levels of resistance. If we were in a downtrend, this would be a short for me, but we're not. So it makes it difficult for me to tell you to take the short entry there. You're above the 50 on the RSI on the weekly, but still got plenty of room to go. On the daily RSI, plenty of room to go. Now there's a concerning, that's the one concerning thing I see for the bulls right there. You are still trading a couple standard deviations off of that 21 daily exponential. So you could see a pullback all the way to there. But you've already gotten that pullback on the NASDAQ. Remember, the 21 daily on the NASDAQ is right here. Volatility is on the lows. So, I mean, this is primed and ready to go for another volatility expansion to the upside. Just bear with me here. I don't know why they put in daily looks good on the RSI. The NASDAQ to me looks primed and ready to go for a rip to the upside. Structurally. But obviously it could fail, right? It can always fail. Example, currently I'm waiting to buy Bitcoin at 319179. 1 hour support, take profit 340. 3342, stop loss 330.041 because the last hour is above the daily open. I could have swore you were short. Maybe it's somebody else that was short. Yeah, like I said, there's a myriad of different ways to get a daily bias, right? That's probably the number one searched thing on YouTube is how to identify a daily bias, how to know which way the market's going to go for that day. you will find 1,000 videos that claim to tell you how to do it. But if you watch them, none of them will give you an answer. You can sit through the entire 4-hour video and you will come away with nothing, because there is no way, no surefire way of doing it. There are many different ways of doing it. Many different ways of doing it. My way of doing it is I like to look at order flow for the last 3 days, get an overall macro view top down, right? Where are we on the month? Where are we in the week? Where are we currently structured on the day? So we're 13 days into the month. The monthly is bullish. Nice. We're 2 weeks in. We're Thursday into a weekly candle that is currently green. So beautiful. Right there. That tells me also, we're getting near the end of the week and the week is green. And then on the daily, we are green. As Bitcoin opened up last night, made a low of day, and has been trending higher ever since. This giving you an intraday bias of being bullish. But that does not mean that it's going to close bullish. But it is a good way of establishing a daily bias. You got your monthly telling you that the month is bullish, the weekly's telling you that the week is bullish, and the day is telling you the day is bullish. Now, if you're trading close to the weekly open and you're green and you're late in the month, that's different, because you could be on a bearish retrace. So that's when the last 3 days, I would look at the last 3 days to see currently what is order flow doing. For us here on Bitcoin, the last 3 days is irrelevant. It's insignificant, because you are trading as an inside day. So literally order flow is neutral for the last 3 days. Therefore, I must do what? Revert back to the weekly. That weekly gives me the bias of, well, we're bullish. We're green, and we're near the end of the week here. Here's your weekly candle for right now. Like, are you into a massive level of resistance though? Right? That will come into your factoring. Like, there's a million different ways and caveats to go about these things. But in my opinion, the best way is take a macro approach to getting that daily bias. And if the last 3 days have been bullish, that's fantastic. It's even more fantastic. But in our case, the last 3 days are forming what looks to be a bull flag. I'm not a pattern trader, but it looks like it wants to be bullish. The problem is you're overbought, and probably trending very far away from the 21. You are. So there's the 21 all the way down here. So you know, the further you get away from this 21, that eventually a reversion is coming. A reversion to the mean, as the 20 is the mean. The 20 is usually the mean of a trend. In a trend. So scenarios like this, it's since you don't have a clear and obvious signal, it's probably best to sit on your hands that day. But hopefully that helps. Here we go. More sideways nonsense. Big levels here. These are very, very big levels. You got a lot of volume being thrown down right here. New shorts, profit taking, all of that. There's your current point of control on the volume. Right at weekly resistance. So you can expect a lot of volatility around these areas. We got 5 minutes left on this hourly close. A close above daily resistance would be ideal. A close down in here would not, as that brings about the new potential that, people are actually taking profits more so than buying the marketplace. That does not mean that they won't buy later on in the day either. Sometimes these setups take a couple hours to play out. So this is going to be intraday support. Or hourly support. Next hourly support is down here. So if you lose this level, then that means that there's probably more of a likelihood of coming down and testing this level, since your breakout candle failed. Right? That's a trap is nothing more than a failed breakout attempt. On your breakouts, you want your breakouts to be successful on retests. This is a retest. So you definitely want to see this hold, and then you want to see momentum start to guide price away from the level, as that gives you a little bit more confidence to sit in the trade, if you will. Getting a bounce just before that 2023 low, which is consistent with, people buying the low. If you think the bullish is going to be, if you think the dollar is going to be bullish, where do you want to be a buyer? Do you want to be a buyer up here at 105, or do you want to be a buyer at 100? Naturally, you would want to be a buyer at 100, right? That's if you have a bullish bias on the dollar. Right now, you're range bound at the low of the range. You set a high, then you traded down and set the low of the year. Then you traded up, you took out the high of the year, and you rejected all the way down, and now you're back down towards the low of the year. There could be two things happening here. Either buyers show back up here and we trade sideways for another quarter, which is completely and 100% possible given the macro outlook, or we break down and then we start to see 2023's trend start to happen. Whereas dollar breaks down, makes fresh yearly lows, and continues. But if, there's going to be a lot of market participants that are buying this. I wouldn't buy it until after the sweep of it, but I don't have a bullish bias on the dollar. But I could be wrong. I get a lot of these macro plays right, but I do get them wrong every now and then too. This could absolutely be a sideways choppy year. But I do like that daily candle on the dollar. And I mean, it looks like you would see bullish continuation off of it based on a correlation to the dollar, inverse correlation to the dollar. But to be honest with you, we haven't been seeing that with Bitcoin. We have not been seeing an inverse correlation. It is possible for the dollar to trade lower with Bitcoin and vice versa. It is possible to see the dollar trade higher as Bitcoin does as well. So there is your close. It closed under demand. I don't like that at all. We're getting late into the session. Even though you didn't make this a trap just yet, you did get closed right back under daily resistance. So essentially, what you've done with this closure is you've brought a whole lot of nothing to the table. You've given us nothing really to go by here. The only thing that even has me still kind of thinking that you could see that bullishness is the fact that the NASDAQ is not breaking down and breaking down hard. The NASDAQ looks like it's getting ready to break out. So it's just literally testing your patience here and looking for stops. Ethereum Cassidy is at $2,000 There's nothing else that can be said. I mean, it is super bullish today. Is this going to be a sell the news event? We don't know. You're at a key inflection point. You got rejected at weekly resistance last week. There's weekly resistance. Last week you traded 2 weekly resistance and got rejected. This week you took out last week's high and you got a bullish continuation breakout like move. So I mean, if you bought it down in here, I would hang on to it, or here, anywhere lower. Would I buy it now where it is? Absolutely not. Not for a long-term hold. I don't even think I could buy Ethereum where it currently is for a long day trade, because right there's the high of day. There's not much in the way of risk to reward. And you've already had a bullish expansion on the daily range. So me looking for another bullish expansion on the daily range would mean that I'm looking for a great, gigantic, bullish day on Ethereum. That's after it's already had a pretty big daily move. You see what I'm saying? So, like, technically, there's nothing to go on here. Nothing to go on. The markets over here, US 30 unchanged on the day, essentially 0.06%. US 100 though, Nasdaq looks good. Trading at almost 1% on the day. S&P 500 not bearish but not bullish either. I mean, you're green on the day, but 0.3. That's not really what you want to see. You'd like to see like 1.31, 2.1 at the end of the day. Percentage gainage. Give us the gains, bro. The gains. Bitcoin, though, rejecting the breakout, still not taking out support yet. There you go. Fresh daily high on the NASDAQ. Liking that. If NASDAQ can continue to do this, then Bitcoin should make a fresh daily high today. And from that fresh daily high, you're just a hop, skip, and jump away from yesterday's high. So you could literally liquidate 2 days. Today, yesterday, and the day before. And then that would give you a breakout of a wedge or triangle. What does it look like on the line chart? The line chart shows us that we have already liquidated that swing high. There is no pattern, if you will. I guess one could do something like this. But that pattern is already played out. Yeah, you just broke out above resistance, but barely, and then rejected or pulled back. That looks fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. What do you mean by Ethereum's upgrade, right? I don't keep track of the news on these things. I'm just looking for intraday opportunities most of the time. I don't know. Was there some new addition to the code on Ethereum or something very important happened with Ethereum? If that is the case, then people should have gotten long before the news. As usually it's buy the rumor and then sell the news. We were watching Mana for a potential trade setup yesterday. It did not work out. And the reason is for some reason on this exchange, this thing's seen a metric ton of volume last week. Look at that. Boom. So we were watching it around very important level yesterday. We were watching it right in here for this to be a failure, and it did not fail. So much volume trading. Look at the volume when I pull this out. Look how tight this range is. I mean, just very tight range. And look at this volume down here. Like, what's going on? It looks like a big move is it getting ready to come on this. Just based on that. But this literally could mean nothing also. This could literally be just a firm hedging its mana holdings, its spot holdings. You know what I'm saying? Volume's not a really good signal to go by, but when I see stuff like that, it at least goes on the watch list, at the very least. Right? At the very least. But as far as trading opportunities on it, it didn't work out yesterday. So we'll wait for a new trade to set up on it. But that just means we're going to have to give it some time. Yesterday, it was also aiming under the 50. That's why we were looking for shorts on it. It was red on the day, red on the week. But it's just been such a tight range this week. So we were looking for that daily range expansion to continue down. So that macro approach that I told you as far as trying to get a daily bias, here is an example where that did not work. Everything looked good for a short. Everything. Every single thing. The indicators were perfect. Everything was lined up beautiful for a short on mana. And it did not work. Everything works in trading, just not all the time. This is why we must hedge or manage our risk. Hedge when you can, but always, always manage risk. You're never looking at one trade as being better than another. The trades that I really didn't know what was going to happen are, sometimes those are going to be the ones that work out the best when you just wing it. You essentially flip a quarter. Ping! Heads I go long, tails I go short. It's tails. Short it. Boom. And it ends up being a 10-1 win. Then you can make a YouTube video telling people how you're so smart. I flipped a quarter and made 10x on my whole account. That's how good I am at this. You're welcome, Run Mountains. Have a good day, my friend. ETH has a Shanghai upgrade. You can unlock staking now. Gotcha. ETH, I'm late. Very sorry, brother. You don't have to apologize for being late to the stream. It's not like you guys are ordered or mandated to be here. Although I should. You must show up on time from henceforth, or I will fine you 2,000 tether. Just kidding. That's just a joke. NASDAQ looking great. Breaking out. Up over 1% now on the day. Looks good. If Bitcoin can maintain that positivity that the NASDAQ has right now, man, oh man. Could see great things out of Bitcoin today. Nice big breakout. Get another spurt of short squeezes going on. So you can now stake on Ethereum in Shanghai. That's nice. I've never staked. I have Ethereum, so I guess I could stake it. I don't do anything with it. Yeah, it looks like it definitely Nasdaq's looking good today. Like I said, uptrend, pullback, beautiful. Nice bear trap, throwing out that bearish engulfing, pulling back, liquidating this swing low, and then boom, shakalaka to the upside. That's what you look for in a trending market environment. That's the perfect setup. And I mean, if you pull the 21 up, you'll see why they bought it. Right there it is. Those are algorithms kicking in on the buy mode. Boom. Pulled back almost to the 50. Not quite, but almost. Beautiful. Let's go Bitcoin. See if you can get that same strength. Staking ETH pays about 5%. Nice. Stake ETH on your Nano. Yeah, that's where I would do it. I wouldn't do it on exchange. You get paid in ETH. I have no problem getting paid in ETH. Ethereum looks good today. It's back over 2K. Well, it's not currently, but you did hit 2K for a brief second. And like I said earlier in the stream, you haven't seen $2,000 ETH since April of last year. So it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Definitely brought the buyers back. That's the wrong chart. And that is just one big, strong, bullish candle. Breaking out. Nice trend to the upside. It looks solid. Looks good. But it's getting a little bit extended. You're hitting overbought. Obviously, people are going to be like, bearish divergence. But yeah, don't worry about that. This just means that there's more room it can go after the oscillator pulls back. That's a beautiful thing. That's a golden looking trend. Big major swing high coming up. Obviously, you might see a pullback there, but or a rejection slightly before you get there. Similar to what we're seeing on the dollar currently. But time will tell. All right, I'm going to have to wrap it up. We've been going for 2 hours now. We're just kind of watching Bitcoin here. As long as the NASDAQ continues this beautiful run and no bad news comes out today, I think you're going to see NASDAQ continue higher. as it was a perfect buying spot. As I stated earlier, the mana trade did not work out yesterday, but that's okay. S&P 500 on the day, nice and bullish. Your SPY on the daily looks good, right? NASDAQ on the daily looks good. Bitcoin on the daily, not so good. It's struggling. It's up, but it's barely up. We could be seeing money roll out of Bitcoin into Ethereum. That could be what's going on here. Why Bitcoin can't seem to get anything going. But looking at that, seeing that the dollar's down and continuing lower, all of that would suggest that Bitcoin should be making a higher high on the day. It doesn't mean it will, but it definitely seems like it should be, right? So just be careful if you're looking for shorts on Bitcoin. As we all know, this thing can literally rip once it gets going. If it gets going is the question for the rest of the day. But anyways, a lot of event risks to chew through for the rest of the week. So we went through it all. Nothing really major, but we'll see how the markets take it. Next week, maybe we'll have a lighter week on news and we can just operate solely off the price. That would be great. As high event, risk driven news events will generally make a lot of volatility in the markets, and it makes it difficult finding edge for day trades. But with what I currently see, as long as it don't top out and take a nasty tumble, I think Bitcoin should probably make a higher high on the day. If it continues to fail here, then maybe you are looking for a short. I don't know. Daily resistance is currently 30227.19. That is this line right there. That is daily resistance. If you start closing hourlies under that, then the next level that I would be looking for would be 30051. This all the way down here. As that is your next hourly support. All right. If you lose this, then this would be the next area that I'd be looking for. With that being said, my few ledges, make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.